Well, good morning. You've joined me. I'm out for a spot of tench fishing this morning, and I'm just about to mix my ground bait up. I didn't have much success with the tench last year. It fished very poorly over here early season, and although it improved a little bit later on in the season, it wasn't much better. So I came for a look round the other day. One or two fish had started to be caught, so I thought I'd come and give it a bit of a go. While I'm waiting for other waters that I want carp fish to warm up a little bit, because they're much deeper than this particular water here. And although there is carp in here, I seldom come and fish for carp over here these days. I used to a lot in the past, but there's a carp syndicate on here now, and I prefer to fish this for other species like tench and crucians. There are some good crucians in here, as you know, last year I tried for one, but I was unsuccessful on that as well. Bit of a poor year last year really, apart from on the carp front. But anyway, into there I've put a bag of Census Lake ground bait and given that a good whisk round, and that's about right just for throwing out and going into the feeder. Just binds and then breaks up nicely. I'm probably going to fish two methods today. I'm going to be on the float, a bit close in, and then on the feeder, a bit further out. But I'll get this sorted out first. So I've got some dead maggots to go into that. And some hemp seed as well. There's a real crosswind coming down here at the moment. Bring everything in bags because there's no tins allowed at the water side on this particular club water. I don't believe in putting it in tins anyway. You only got to carry them home, might as well put it in bait boxes. Anyway, I'll leave that to settle while I get set up, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Anyway, I'm all set up and I'm good to go now. Just going to have a cup of coffee first. As said, I'm going to bait one swim close in, which I'll fish on the float. Might be a float rod, but if this breeze picks up too much and I've got too much tow, then I'll perhaps go over to the pole and fish it on the pole. And I've got a quiver tip rod set up with a running cage feeder at the moment, down to a size 12 hook. This is £6 main line, and I'm on a £6 bottom here as well. Early season tench usually fight quite well, and it pays not to go too light, although I haven't really got any snags in front of me. I might scale down the hook link a bit later on. And for baits this morning, I've got some good old worms, lots of sweet corn. There's ground bait. I've mixed it up in a big bowl behind me, and then I've just put enough into here to fill the feeder up. And I've got some red maggots as well. There's a lot of silverfish in here too. So it's the problem with fishing any bait like maggots, is that you do get pestered by the silverfish. There's also a number of very large perch in here as well, so worms are a good bait obviously, but you get pestered by the perch, so it's chopping and changing and seeing what what brings the result really. So I'll start with a worm, and I'm just going to tip it with a red mag at a moment. Let's fill up my feeder. I've got some other feeders with me as well if I want to put more in, but I'm only going to feed with the feeder today. I'm not balling any ground bait out there. Right, let's see if anything can resist that and oblige. I'm going out about 30 yards. Don't ask me what it is in meters. I don't really do old money. I picked a nice spot on the horizon. There's a tree dead in front of me with a big crow's nest in. Just check there's nothing behind me. That's gone down to the bottom. Tighten up, make sure that clutch is loose enough. Morning, you alright? I've got an 1.5 ounce tip in here. I like an 1.5 ounce on when I'm fishing on the reservoir, apart from if it's too windy, and then obviously I'll put a 2 ounce in. But I like to keep the sensitivity of an 1.5 ounce. I'll probably have half a dozen fairly quick casts to get a little bit of bait down. I would have expected any bites to be quite savage at this time of year, to be honest. Right. There's a little bit of weed out there. There always is here. Put a few live maggots in with the bait as well. Tip that off with a red maggot. Just had the first bite and missed it, so I'll put the camera back on for a little bit. So if we can replicate that. It's only trouble when you quiver tipping, your mind tends to wander a little bit when nothing much is happening. I've changed the feeder over to a small cage feeder at the moment because I'm wanted to get a little bit more bait down in here. Anyway, that's a good sign. Small pluck on the tip then. That's where you have to sit on your hands a little bit and wait for it to really go. Sorry, I haven't got the camera on, but we weren't catching much. It's taken a little while, but we've got one at last. Oh, we've got something at last. I'm assuming it's a tench by the way it's fighting. On the feeder. It's took an awful long time this morning. I thought it'd be a little bit quicker, that's why I came out so early today, but obviously the tench had other ideas. Volume of weed that's out there, no wonder the fish aren't fighting very hard, but here comes, by the looks of it, our first tench of 2019. It's a little bit of a better start than what I had last year. And a proper tench as well. Right, just get some of this weed off the line one moment and then hook it. Perhaps I can hold it up. Now you're going to behave. There we are. Probably 2.5 pounds I'd have thought, but as I said, couldn't catch one for love nor money last year. I had one right at the end of the season, wasn't very good, got a little bit of a split fin there, but apart from that, its mouth's in good condition. That's lovely, let's get it put back. Let's hope there's a few more to come. Wow, that was a result. Look at the weed that's out there though, coming through. Even at this time of year you wouldn't have thought it, would you? Still, now we've had one, perhaps we can catch another. If ever I can get this stuff off the line. Canadian pondweed, blanket weed, there's quite a mixture here. A lot of bloodworm in it though, that's why the tench like it. You can see that going through it here. Right, we've got our second one Sorry the camera's not on when I'm doing it, but the bites aren't coming fast enough to warrant leaving the camera on all the time. But that's good. I do like quiver tipping, although I do prefer to catch things on the float most of the time. But feeder's not got any weed on it, that makes a nice change. Right, here we go. Oh yes, come to Andy. This is more like it. Now this is what last year should have been like. Well, a quick tip for you as well is that when you're using a quiver tip rod, they're very prone to tangling around the tip if you're not careful. So quite often what you want to try and do is keep some tension on the tip all the time while you're unhooking fish and stuff. And then it stops that tangle, and then you don't break the tip when you're casting. My goodness, you took that right down, didn't you? You greedy sod. Open wide. So, come on. How did you get that all the way down there? Blimey, I've never known a tench take it down so deep. There we go. Right. Really had taken that down, that had. Ooh, hold still. Such wiry things tench are, and so slimy, very hard to hold. But there we go. Absolutely lovely. Little female. Beautiful. Still, that's what we were after. So I can catch fish sometimes. I just can't guarantee it. I don't know what it was last year. It just, as I said, it just didn't fish very well. Not just for me, but for quite a few people early in the season. People came, like I normally do now and then. Weren't catching, everybody drifted away, and it didn't really start to come on until about August, September. And I still didn't do much good then. Well, I was hoping for one or two more, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Still, I mustn't grumble. And anyway, I'm 58 today, so I'm celebrating my birthday. So not a bad way to celebrate, is it, with a couple of early season tench. That's the reason why I didn't put the date up at the start, because I didn't really want to give that information out. But I'm going to wrap up now, and I'll carry on fishing for a little while, but I'll switch the camera off. If I get anything else, I'll obviously add it onto the vlog. So once again, thank you ever so much for watching, and until the next time, all the best with your angling.